Okay, I spelled one of the things phonetically for Rapino. You're gonna be fine.
Smile. Sled. Perfect.
Okay. Alright, I'm gonna go get the chair and come back.
Okay.
Smile, look up, energy. You guys are experts. You got this. Katie, which is just a maybe, if she doesn't cue you or you guys are on, start talking and start moving it along.
Okay. Okay.
It's all gonna be okay. Yay! I'm gonna grab a chair and come back.
We got this. We got this.
The women's volleyball team is back in the win column after back-to-back sweeps to open up the Big East play.
And the men's soccer team continues its buzzing season with a conference win on the road.
Thank you for joining us. The Golden Eagle Sports Report starts right now.
Slam dunk! Oh, that's a poster! Live from the Jeannie Hayes Virtual Studio at Marquette University, this is Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Marquette gets the rebound, and the champions have gone down!
Good evening, everyone. I'm Zoe Shurick alongside Katie Munson.
After a gauntlet non-conference schedule, the Marquette volleyball team looks to flip the script as they open up conference play on Friday night.
After an impressive sweep over Villanova, the Golden Eagles hope to stay at the top of the Big East as they welcome in the Georgetown Hoyas.
The game starts out tight, with neither team gaining an edge.
But the tides begin to turn as outside hitter Jenna Reitzma earns back-to-back service aces for Marquette.
The Golden Eagle offense stays in sync and scores 6 straight points to extend the lead in the first set.
The Hoyas have no response, and the pressure from the Golden Eagles defense is too much to handle, forcing 3 straight attack errors to inch closer to a set 1 victory.
Junior right side hitter Ella Foti scores 2 points, including a service ace of her own to give Marquette the 1-set lead.
Marquette rolls over Georgetown early in set 2, jumping out a 9-2 lead, forcing a Hoyas timeout.
But the timeout can't slow down the Golden Eagles, and a string of Marquette kills solidifies the set 2 win, 25-13.
With their backs against the walls, the Hoyas try to knock the Golden Eagles off balance, with a couple of kills to keep the third set tied early.
But senior outside hitter Aubrey Hamilton has other plans and uses a 6-kill third set to help Marquette secure the sweep over Georgetown.
Hamilton gets the final point for the Golden Eagles and gifts Marquette back-to-back sweeps for the first time this season.
Hamilton ends the day with 12 kills, with half of them coming in the final set, while also hitting 600 for the second straight game.
Junior setter Yadira Enchante also chips in 4 kills and 20 assists for the Golden Eagles in the win. As the volleyball team begins to get back on track, 2 Golden Eagles find themselves on the Big East honor roll. Senior outside hitter Aubrey Hamilton and junior middle blocker Hattie Bray are named to the honor roll after dominant performances against both Villanova and Georgetown. Hamilton finishes with 25 kills in 2 games and a .600% percentage, which ranked second in the Big East en route to making the honor roll. Bray ends her week with 18 total kills and a Big East Best 12 block to earn her first Big East honor of the season.
And after the undefeated weekend, we would like to welcome in MUTV General Manager Nancy Flaherty to the studio. Nancy, welcome in.
Katie, I am happy to be here.
no matter the technological issues, I am always free to talk about women's volleyball, especially at Marquette. Did you make the games, Katie?
I haven't yet, but I'm really interested in getting myself some tickets.
Good, yes. It's wonderful to be a student here at Marquette and be able to chat about it.
So, Nancy, first off, the Golden Eagles are coming off 2 straight sweeps against Villanova and Georgetown. Is it safe to say this was the best that Marquette has looked all season?
I'm going to say it's the best that the team has looked all season. However, we have to keep in mind with both the Georgetown and the Villanova games, these are both unranked teams. We've seen Marquette pull through and look better in previous seasons against teams that maybe present more of a difficult game.
Right.
So it's the best they've looked this season. I'm looking for them to improve themselves even more so. Now, the best part about these games this week was watching libero Sarah Kushner really settle into a groove. I think it's the best her play has looked during this entire season, and especially getting that pass to Yadira Enchante. It was amazing to watch.
And then next, Aubrey Hamilton had 25 kills in 2 games for Marquette. What was working for her to be so dominant?
So when the team gets into a serving rhythm, everything falls into place, and I think that's where we really saw that help Hamilton. Now, if we watch the game right here, I love having this play-by-play, so you can really see everything pull through. It helps Hamilton get to where she needs to go, and getting those good sets in is really key for a team like this, and I think is what helped Aubrey Hamilton pull through those 25 kills in 2 games, which is just excellent. So that serving rhythm and getting those good sets in, that's what matters to Aubrey Hamilton in a team like this.
I definitely see that take with Aubrey Hamilton. And so aside from Hamilton, who has been the most important player for Marquette during this stretch?
Now you might think with talking about Aubrey Hamilton and the 25 kills that I would throw it to her, but honestly, Hattie Bray. Hattie Bray is honestly the most important. She had the career high 11 kills in the sweep over Villanova and combined for 3 kills and 2 blocks per set in a 2-0 week. I think especially seeing Hattie Bray and Aubrey Hamilton play off each other in a way, seeing that integration in the team from Hattie, just those 11 kills. I didn't expect it in a way coming for her, then watching the games, her just pull through like that. She's the most important player on the team in my opinion.
And so Marquette has yet to beat a ranked team this season and already has 7 losses after only losing 4 total games last season. Can Marquette still contend for the Big East title even after its slow start this season?
That's a great question, Katie. They can definitely contend for the Big East title, but the key here is that the reason that they can in the first place is that Creighton lost at Xavier. So that's going to set it up nicely for Marquette women's volleyball in a way.
Right.
So Marquette now has to win every single game except for at Creighton, which was what happened previously, and then they shared the regular season title with that 1 loss. If we can see them pull through and replicate those similar results, I think that's where we can see them contending for this regular season title. But only until they pull through in that regard are we going to see that happen.
Yeah, there's definitely still a chance for Marquette, though.
Hoping.
The Golden Eagles will now go on the road and play both UConn and Providence. So what do the Golden Eagles need to do to leave the East Coast undefeated?
So head coach Ryan Tice has been clear about, all season really, about the importance of serving consistently. I talked about it earlier with what made Aubrey Hamilton so great was that serving rhythm. So I think right here is also the same thing, is that serving consistently. Now if Marquette can do that and control the tempo through its serves, they're going to win more games and stay undefeated in the Big East. And that's what Marquette women's volleyball is really going to root for throughout this entire situation. So. Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Nancy, for
course,
your insight.
Katie.
But we are out of time, unfortunately. So coming up, did the men's soccer team finally get a win on the road? Find out after the break.
Have you ever seen somebody treated unfairly because of the color of their skin?
Do you guys know what it means to have white privilege?
What is racism and what do you think about it?
Talk to young children about what racism is, giving them the language to understand it. They can be disruptors. They can shape and shift culture.
We may not always know the answer, but we'll try and help you learn.
You don't have to have all the answers, but that doesn't mean we can't start.
There are a lot of ways to reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
What are you looking for?
Welcome back to the Golden Eagle Sports Report. Once again, I'm Zoe Shurik.
And I'm Katie Munson. Coming off of a big win against DePaul, the women's soccer team is hungry to put the Bulldogs back in their pen. Both teams fight for the edge over the other, gaining no traction, draining the clock down.
The Bulldogs were able to land possession for a majority of the first half, but unable to put any points on the scoreboard. After a shutdown first half, the Butler Bulldogs come out with a certain edge about them.
In the 61st minute of the match, first-year forward Abigail Isger scored a penalty goal, giving them the lead, 1-0.
Keeping the pedal on the gas, the Bulldogs scored yet another goal when senior midfielder Allie Leonard scored after just 10 minutes.
The Golden Eagles would fail to find any advantage, taking on the loss 2-0.
The men's soccer team is hungry for another dub, and these Eagles look to prey on the Butler Bulldogs.
It doesn't take too long when junior forward Abdul Karim Pari turns defense into offense when he catches the goalie off guard and punches one in to take the 1-0 lead.
The Marquette defense refuses to toss a bone to the Bulldogs and limits Butler to only 3 shots in the first half.
The Golden Eagles head to the locker room up 1-0 at halftime.
Despite Butler having 3 second-half shots, the Golden Eagle defense is impenetrable and holds down the nest. Graduate student forward Brooklyn Merrill rips the ball past the keeper, scoring his 6th goal of the season, giving the Marquette the 2-0 lead.
The Bulldogs have no answer as the Golden Eagles send them back to the doghouse, winning 2-0.
Sophomore goalkeeper Ludwig Malberg records an impressive 2 saves, giving him his 4th clean sheet of the season.
This win marks the first time the men's soccer team has won on road since the 2021 season.
After a big week in Marquette sports, we would like to give out our picks for Marquette Weekly Honors. First up is Team of the Week. After finally getting in the win column by completing back-to-back sweeps over Villanova and Georgetown, the Marquette women's volleyball program is our Team of the Week. The Golden Eagles picked up their first back-to-back sweep of the season and first 2 conference wins of the year. The undefeated streak will be put to the test this weekend as Marquette will travel to the East Coast playing the Yukon Huskies and the Providence Friars. We will stay with the volleyball team for the next award, the MVP of the week. Aubrey Hamilton takes home another honor after her big week. The senior outside hitter had back-to-back double-digit kill games to help Marquette to an undefeated week. And our final award is Newcomer of the Week. Women's soccer first-year attacker Taylor Shaw keeps the scoring going and gets her 2nd collegiate goal and the 3rd straight game with a point against DePaul to earn Newcomer of the Week. With 2 goals on the season, Shaw is currently Marquette's leading goal scorer. Coming up this week in sports,
the women's soccer team heads to Omaha to play the Creighton Blue Jays Thursday at 6 p.m. The men's soccer team takes on St. John's on Friday at Valley Fields at 7:05 p.m. Meanwhile, in the volleyball, women have a doubleheader this weekend, Saturday at UConn at noon and Sunday at Providence, also at noon. But that's not all. Women's soccer will also be at UConn Sunday at noon. To finish off the week, men's soccer takes on the NIU Huskies on Monday over at Valley Fields at 7:05 p.m. Coming up in professional sports, who left the biggest impact on the United States women's national team? Plus, are the Dolphins the scariest team in the NFL? We dive in after the break.
To Sofia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Studio 7 as we discuss the latest news in professional sports. Joining me on the panel tonight, Adrian Fraga and Gabriel Cicerica. Let's get started. The women's U.S. national team says goodbye to two of their greatest players ever, in Megan Rapinoe and Julia Eretz, after a 3-0 win over South Africa. Rapinoe and Eretz leave behind legacies that for most can only be imagined. This leaves us with the question, whose legacy was more influential to the national team?
It's gotta be Megan Rapinoe. Megan Rapinoe has been the face of the United States women's team for as long as she's been there. She has 63 goals and 73 assists, and has been basically everything for the national team. Plus, she's done it off the field too. I mean, Rapinoe was a huge influence for this team and them getting paid more for how well they were doing, so it's gotta be Megan Rapinoe.
All respect to Julia Ertz, but let's not think about this too hard here. Rapinoe's basically like one of the biggest faces in women's soccer. Her and Alex Morgan, of course, are two of the most iconic. Rapinoe won the 2019 Ballon d'Or, Femine, and of course she was also the FIFA Best Women's Player in 2019 as well. She was just the best player in the league at 2019, and as good as a player and as good as a legacy that Ertz has, we just can't pass on. Like, it's Rapinoe. Rapinoe is very clearly the most legacy impacting player. It's not too hard to understand, I don't think. So for that reason, I think it's, again, Ertz, great player, all-time great career, props to her, but let's not think too hard about it. 100%
agreed. Next, the Miami Dolphins are coming off a record-breaking offensive performance against the Denver Broncos. With a record of 3-0, are the Dolphins the scariest team in the NFL?
Absolutely. The Dolphins are rolling, or dare I say swimming, because let's not think too hard about this one either, because Tua Tagovailoa is playing lights out. Tua has a 71.3% completion percentage. He is second in the NFL in yards with 1,024. He has an 8 touchdown to 2 interception ratio and a 129 passer rating, which ranks first in the league. The Dolphins are 3-0. They are rolling. Mike McDaniel is an offensive genius. He knows exactly what he's doing there. So I think as long as Mike McDaniel is the coach and Tua is under center, that team has Super Bowl aspirations easily, and they could be scary.
The Dolphins look really good, but we're talking about the scariest team in the NFL? I don't think so. Let's keep it real, right? They played the Denver Broncos, who are one of the worst teams in the NFL by far, and it's not even close. Sean Payton and Russell Wilson have not been able to get it going, and they did whatever they want against a very, very bad Broncos defense.
Doesn't matter. It's still 70 points. You could say all you want. Has any other team dropped 70 points in your lifetime?
No, not 70 points, but let's keep it real. If the Dolphins play the Bills next week, and they're going to lose that game, and then you're going to talk about scariest team, they're going to have an L after the next week's game against the Bills, right? And you're talking about a team who realistically has only played against poor teams. They're beating teams like the Chargers and the Broncos, who
the
have
Chargers
been
made the playoffs. Say all you want.
They're 1-2.
The Dolphins never had the lead in that game, and the Dolphins managed to come back in that game and win. 36-34.
The Chiefs are scarier. The Chiefs are for sure scarier. The Bills are scarier. I can go on and on about how many teams are scarier than the Dolphins. It's not taking anything away from them.
To the Dolphins is Tua's health. And that man took jiu-jitsu classes in the offseason, and the O-line has only given up 1 sack already against Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, and Matt Judon, all former All-Pros. Let's not think too hard about this. Come on.
It's unsustainable.
Unsustainable.
Well, continuing on the topic of football, the Denver Broncos are coming off one of the most disappointing seasons in NFL history. Last season, after acquiring Russell Wilson and winning only 5 games after landing Wilson and making a blockbuster trade to get head coach Sean Payton, the Broncos are sitting 0-3. Who's to blame in Denver?
Everyone. Denver is a mess. We talk about a team that traded for Sean Payton, a head coach, giving up a first-round pick in this 2023 draft and a 2024 second-round pick for a head coach who hasn't been able to win a single game this season, let alone the Broncos have no ability to score after about 2 touchdowns. And then their defense allowed 70 points last week to the Miami Dolphins. I mean, there's so much going on in Denver, and it's hard to pinpoint who to blame.
It's not pretty in Denver at all. You can't deny that. But I think it's criminal to say that Russell Wilson is the problem. Russell Wilson has 791 yards in the year. He's 8th in the league. He has a 6 touchdown to 2 interception ratio. He has the 13th best QBR in the league and the 6th best passer rating in the NFL, tied with Mahomes. So as much as you want to put the blame on Russ, I don't think it's necessarily on Russ. I think it's more so what's around Russ. What help does he have around him? That offensive line is putrid.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
It's really bad.
And not only that, Javonte Williams is coming off an injury. There's no run game in Denver, so there's not really exactly that to get Russell Wilson kind of off his feet. And I think the biggest story is Vance Joseph. Vance Joseph is an awful defensive coordinator, and emphasis on awful, because that guy can't put together a coaching staff at all. He was already the head coach for the Broncos in 2017. Do you know what happened? He got fired. Yeah. He wasn't a good head coach, and he wasn't a good defensive coordinator, and he can't put up a competent defense. They're giving up, it is a little bit inflated, given, 70 points, but they are giving up around 40.7 points per game, which is obviously not how you win football games. Defense is what wins championships.
Keep in mind that was a top 15 defense last year, too. It's not like they were a bad defense by any means last season, allowing 13 points a game.
You're just proving my point that Vance Joseph is the problem.
Absolutely. I don't think Russell Wilson is necessarily the problem here. I think there's a lot going on, like you said, around Russell Wilson. That's been the issue. He's been improved compared to last season, but they're not getting the job done.
I don't think Sean Payton hire was the trade was as bad as it was, truthfully.
Well, there's no surprise that some of the hottest teams in the NFL last year had some sort of issues. Last year, they are on a sharp decline at the start of the season. The Giants, Jaguars, and Bengals only have 1 win, while the Vikings remain winless through 3 weeks. In your opinion, which of these teams have had the worst start and worst decline in the NFL this season?
The Vikings were 13-4 last year. And this is a year that the Vikings were getting a lot of hype because Aaron Rodgers, the bad man in the NFC North, he's gone. So, theoretically speaking, of course, that means that this should be the year the Vikings win. They won 13 games last year. They won the North last year. And yet, now they're 0-3. What's the biggest problem? Well, the Vikings last year were 11-0 in 1-score games. Fast forward to this year, 3 games into the season, and they're 0-3 in 1-score games. Not a good look at all. So, as much as you want to say, Kirk Cousins is playing lights out. Kirk Cousins is arguably playing as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And if it wasn't for the fact that his team is 0-3, he would certainly be in the MVP conversation without a doubt. So, what's the biggest problem in the Vikings? It's got to be the defense. The defense is awful. They're giving up 27.3 points per game. So they're ranked 26th. And that O-line is bad. They're giving up a lot of pressures. Kirk Cousins has been sacked 8 times already in the year. Not a good look.
It's just not the Vikings, though. The Vikings, you said, they were in a bunch of close games last season. You saw playoff time. They weren't a good team. Trevor Lawrence comes in, and with the Jaguars, they're 0-3. They bring in a new offensive coordinator.
The Jaguars are not 0-3. They're 1-2.
But they bring in a new offensive coordinator, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are supposed to be contending this season, and Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be MVP, and they're not getting the job done.
Well, I hate to have to cut you guys off, and thank you so much for the great discussion. We're out of time, but be sure to tune in for next week for all of our coverage of Marquette sports and more. For everyone, I'm Zoe Shurik. Good night, Marquette.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
either of those people, these two people on Golden Eagle Sports Report, but don't worry. Of course, you know, they love Taylor Swift. I love sports. Taylor Swift and sports been in the news recently. Travis Kelce, obviously there are rumors that they're together. But I feel that Taylor Swift fans and the reporters everywhere need to touch grass. They need to touch some grass. There is no way that there should be so much reporting on Taylor Swift and what she ate at the Chiefs game. There should no way that there's a picture going around of her going, you know, eating a chicken nugget, and I'm like, oh, it's a chicken nugget. She's eating a chicken nugget. And then everyone's like, oh my God, Taylor Swift's at the game. But this is Grace Katie, this is Patrick Curran, and they're huge Swifties. So I want to know what you guys think about this. Did she get too much coverage, and did they take away from the actual football that was going on?
No, is the short and the long answer, but obviously we are here to expand on that. I mean, sports news is still news, and Taylor Swift is going to be the most newsworthy person in pretty much every room that she walks into. Patrick has some statistics on
Yeah,
this.
I'll just present you some stats. Since sports people, you know, they love their stats. I'm just going to read a few for you. So the Fox broadcast of the Chiefs-Bears game drew 24.3 million viewers, making it the most watched game of the week, and ranking tops in many key female demographic categories. And 72% of the top trending searches related to the Kansas City Chiefs over the course of last week had to do with Taylor Swift. According to StubHub, there was the most tickets sold for Chiefs game in a single day since the season started because of what happened on Sunday. So now I will toss it back to Grace.
Well, I think the next really important thing to talk about is the difference in standards for people who are fangirls of somebody like Taylor Swift, Swifties, versus sports fans. Because, I mean, if we're just talking about professional football, every week there are people on the couch throwing parties, having these gatherings, watching the games. They're in fantasy football leagues. They get very worked up about it. And that's completely normal. Nobody, I mean, bats an eye about that. But then when Swifties are excited about her being...
it's not just that they're excited that she is there. It's just how crazy is it that, like, Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, NFL insiders are like, breaking news, Taylor Swift is at the game. And
because
then
she is the news.
She's not the news because they are sports NFL insiders. There's no reason that NFL insiders should be reporting. Who cares that she's at the game? It's good that they're at the game. It's good that all of this. But they are like always throwing at her. Taylor Swift fans are saying that she put Travis Kelce on the map. And that is just wrong.
No, and I'm actually going to quote an article that came out in the New York Times today. Travis Kelce was already a star. Taylor Swift put him in a new orbit, and that is completely true. Because
maybe in like an orbit around like Earth, but people like Taylor Swift fans need to touch grass, is what I'm saying.
So is your argument that Taylor Swift fans need to touch grass, or that the NFL needs to stop talking about it?
Both, because there should be no reason that there were the Broncos and the Dolphins. The Dolphins scored 70 points. And the biggest thing was what Taylor Swift was eating at the Chiefs game? That
was not the biggest thing. And also, I think if we're going to look at it, how is a blowout game by that significant of a margin newsworthy, really? Because you know that there's nothing exciting that's going to be coming of it.
Not just that game, but just the Chiefs game in general and just football in general. Like, what is going on? I don't understand why it's just like so insane and so crazy.
I think it's important to also remember that this was 1 week. This is one game. This is one situation.
But it's still being talked about.
Yeah, it is. Because
I don't understand why.
She gets the traction. She is arguably the biggest pop culture icon.
Sorry, Adrian. The Dolphins game will last for a weekend, and then it will be remembered. Taylor Swift is the news.
She's timeless.
But she's literally like, we have a picture, Travis Kelce scores a touchdown, great, we turn to her. But then we have people following them outside of the game, like, oh my God, they're in it.
That's because we are in a world where Taylor Swift is the biggest thing.
I know, but there's no reason that people need to be so obsessed about someone that they like that is like their significant other. There's no reason that these relationships would be in such a high flight. But, you know, we can talk about this all day. We don't have time. But that is all. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week. Good night, Marquette. Oh my gosh.